Hello and welcome to Into the Woods with Holly Worton. This podcast has evolved over the 5+ years since it first launched. From now on, I'm going to be talking about deepening your connection with yourself, taking inspired action, and really trusting yourself and your intuition. And also mindset, of course, but mindset of all kinds, not just business mindset. I think. Things are changing for me, as you may have noticed if you've been following me online or listening to this podcast, so anything goes here. I hope you stay along for the ride. Thank you so much for joining us today, and now let's get into this week's episode. Hello and welcome to the Into the Woods podcast, episode 276. This is your host, Holly Worton, and I'm back with another solo episode. Today, I'm going to talk about the inner work, the mindset work, the energy work, the transformational stuff that I do, how I do it, who I do it with, because I think it can be useful for you to see exactly what I do myself in order to work on my stuff. Today's episode topic comes from a listener who suggested this topic to me. She said, that would be a great podcast subject, all the things we could do for self-development and what they can give us. Using yours as an example, as we know, that's kind of the same as business development. And this is absolutely true. So when you're doing this inner work, whether you're working on health stuff or professional stuff or personal stuff, like it's all related. So oftentimes I'll be working on business stuff and personal stuff comes up. And definitely the same goes for health issues as well. In today's episode, I'm going to run through all the stuff I've done for personal and professional development in terms of the inner work. I often say that I think the best way to approach this mindset work is to train in a technique yourself so that you have a practical tool to work with yourself on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And then to find other professionals to work with when you need to go even deeper. So here's what that actually looks like for me. And the reason I'm telling you this whole long story is to help you find your own way of working like this. So if you have perhaps been listening to me and you're not drawn to either of the techniques that I use, whether that's Psych-K or heart-centered energy work, but you want something else because you want to do this work, hopefully you will find something today that will kind of pique your interest and lead you to work deeper. If you have had questions about Psych-K or heart-centered energy work or other stuff, I hope this will answer some questions for you. So my idea is to use myself as an example, as I often do, so that you can find your own way of doing things, because what works for me may or may not work for you. I don't know, sometimes you got to try this stuff and see what works and what doesn't. It certainly took me time to find Psych-K, it certainly took me time to develop heart-centered energy work, so you don't always get it right from the start. You don't always find your ideal way of working on this stuff from the start. So, what can you expect to learn today? You will learn some of the different techniques that you can use for personal and professional development. You can learn who my go-to team is for coaching, healing, and transformation. You'll learn why I use the techniques that I use and what I get from them. You'll learn how to decide which techniques are best for you to use, how I decide when to work on myself and when to hire someone, and how often do we need to do this inner work. So, I hope this will be interesting and useful to you. I really think it will. This is loosely kind of based on a blog post that I've been kind of working on and off for a while, which is my go-to team for coaching, healing, and transformation. And I haven't put that out yet because I'm still working on it, but I hope to have that soon so that I can share it with people as kind of a reference for who I have worked with in terms of other professionals and who I recommend. So, onward. So, I first started on this journey, I guess we could say years and years ago, even before I trained in Psych-K. And that was back in, I don't remember whether it was 2001 or 2002 or thereabouts, that I did my Reiki training. And I did Reiki levels 1 and 2, and that was the first time I trained in anything that was like energy healing or transformational stuff. And I loved it, and I used it every single night with myself, sometimes in the morning as well, and I really, really enjoyed it. Then from there, I trained in another energy healing thing called Ireca, I-R-E-C-A, and that is something that I really, really loved. It's a healing technique that is affiliated with my former spiritual path, my spiritual journey, and it's really, really good. So it's an energy healing thing, so similar to Reiki, but different. And it's very, very kind of focused and really easy to use because you're working with the chakras, the energy centers, and you're doing it for just about 5 minutes a day. I know it's changed a little bit since I first trained in it, and I first trained in it back in, I think it was 2006. So there have been updates, which I'm not aware of because I haven't continued the training, but I did levels 1 through 5, and it was absolutely fantastic. I've had massive, massive life shifts from doing the level 5 Eureka, and I highly recommend it. I'll share links in the show notes to all of these things and all of these people I'm going to be mentioning today. And then in 2011, after I moved to the UK, I trained in coaching. I trained as a coach. I trained as a spiritual coach. I trained as an NLP practitioner. And coaching is something that I've integrated into all the work that I do. It's such a fantastic technique that I think can be applied to so many different careers. Even if you don't want to be a life coach or business coach, it's such a useful technique to have. Or not technique so much as skill to have. So if you've ever been, curious about coaching, I highly recommend that you train in it because it's life-changing in a personal sense to do the training, but it's also such a good technique to have. So I'll share a link in the show notes to where I trained as a coach, but of course you need to go somewhere that's local to you. And I would definitely recommend that you go somewhere that's like an in-person, offline training rather than an online thing, because I think this is one of those things that's really, really useful to do with real people in the real world, offline. Then from there, I started training in Psych K in 2013, did a ton of training, repeated the training, did everything I could at the time in Psych K. I think there's a new workshop out this year. And then I developed heart-centered energy work a couple of years ago. And I can link to some things online where I've talked about how I developed that. But that's been kind of my journey in doing my own training in this stuff. Trained in a handful of things. And the only things that I really, really use on a regular basis are Psych K and heart-centered energy work. Every once in a while, I will have someone do the Eureka 5 level with me because that's something you can't do with yourself. You need someone else to do it because, again, that's life. It's just been absolutely life-changing to me. But it's not something you do on a regular basis. It's something you do once a year, once every 6 months, and it's really, really powerful. So why is it that Psych K and heart-centered energy work are the two techniques that I use with myself pretty much exclusively? Because they work, because they're easy. I don't like really elaborate, complex, complicated things. And I think that's why I didn't really ever use NLP. I think NLP is fantastic. I think it's a really good tool. I think it's really powerful. God damn, it's complex. And I really didn't enjoy using it. I'm super happy that I trained in it because I love the group of people that I trained it with. I did it through my coaching school. And it was a great experience for personal reasons, and it was the only technique I really knew of at the time that worked with the subconscious level, worked at the subconscious level, and worked to transform your mind at that really deep level. So glad I did it, but it's just not for me. Psych K is fast and easy to use, and it's really good for people who are very mind-focused. So Psych K works by changing beliefs, transforming beliefs, reprogramming beliefs at the subconscious level, and there also is an energy healing aspect to it, depending on which of the balances you use. Psych K is so damn good. It's so easy to use, it's easy to learn. You know, I've talked about it so much, but it's been absolutely, absolutely life-changing for me. So I cannot recommend it enough. The basic workshop is just 3 days, so you can learn it in a long weekend. It's easy to use, and I really, really recommend it. Again, it's good for people who are maybe not so much into the woo-woo energy healing stuff. I've used it with clients who have been really skeptical, have not been very into the woo, and want something practical. And they've really enjoyed Psych K. So I think it's good for all kinds of people. So if you're curious about it, have a session with me, look into it, and I really recommend that you do the training yourself if it's something that you're drawn to because it's so easy to learn. Basic workshop can give you everything you need to do all the stuff you need to transform. If you find that you love it, you can go on and do the advanced levels. Heart Center Energy work I love because it's the process that I channeled, I put it together, it's something that I feel deeply connected to, and again, it's easy. It's more body focused and energy focused and breathing focused, which has been really good for me because I'm often very much in my head and not in my body. So it's been good that that was the type of technique that came through for me. And it's been really helpful for me because, like I said, it's often really challenging for me to get out of my head and into my body. And I know some of my clients who have been used to doing Psych-K with me when they've had a heart-centered energy work have sometimes struggled with it because they are also very head-based and not so much body-based. So that's what I use. That's why I use it. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I use these things with myself. So over the last 5 years that I've been doing this work, particularly since I trained in Psych-K, I have trained my brain to pay attention to my limiting beliefs, my fears, my blocks, and I make note. If I'm out and about, I will send myself an email to work on the stuff. Or if I'm journaling in the morning or doing something where I'm at home and have access to paper, computer, whatever, I make a note either on the computer or on a notepad, and I do the work. So what does that look like? I'm going to pull out one of my journals and kind of flip through some of the pages and give you an idea of how I do this work with myself. So I was just telling this story to my Patreon group in the monthly Q&A because it was relevant to a question that was asked. So yesterday morning, I was at my private kickboxing class and working on some things that were really challenging to me. So I happened to say to my teacher trainer, I'm not good at this. So this is something that can we practice? And he pointed out to me that was a mindset thing. And he said, don't start out saying you're not good at this. We're here to work on this. And so I made a mental note to go home and do some work on it. So I did. I got home, pulled out my journal, wrote some belief statements down, and I did some Psych-K to work on my beliefs around that particular aspect of my training. Then from there, I just kind of spent some quiet time and went with other things that came up. So from there, my mind naturally went to the fact that I've got my next grading in December, and it's an advanced grading, which I haven't done before. It's going to be very much like that summer course that I did, but it's going to be obviously a bit more intense because I'm grading. People are looking at how I'm doing things and evaluating. So I did some beliefs around that about my ability to do the grading well and pass the grading. And then I just kind of keep going from there, whatever else might come up. Yesterday, that was pretty much it. But then later on, some other things came up based on an email that came through I'm doing Lisa Lister's The Venus Codes, which is a kind of writing course, but it's very much based on connecting with yourself so that you can write the really deep stuff. So there were some journal prompts in there that led to some belief statements that I wanted to do. So that's where I get some of my ideas. Now I'm going to pull out my previous journal, which I just finished. I just started a new journal yesterday, and go through and give you some other examples so that you can see how you can apply this to yourself. So I had a numerology session last week with Sarah O'Dowd, whom I will speak about in a few minutes. And it was so spot on and so just perfectly aligned. It was like she took elements of things that I had been thinking were coming ahead on my path, but she totally elaborated on them and gave me a super clear perspective on what I needed to know and information. And as a result of that, a lot of kind of stuff came up that I thought I needed to work on. So I created some belief statements and I did some work around that. Another thing I do, and I recently, if you listened to last week's episode, you'll know that I recently pulled my cards for each month of the coming year, 2019. So what I've done in the past is every month I've got a different kind of card, which is my theme for the month. And what I'll do when that month comes around, or sometimes I'll do it in advance, but I'll usually do it when the month comes around, is I pull that card, I go through the little book that explains what the card means, and then I pull out different aspects of that I could do belief statements on to facilitate my experience of that theme for the month. So, for example, let's take January. So the notes for the January card were: time for a change of viewpoint, seek the gifts in my experiences, face the truth with loving awareness, and assimilate painful feelings. So what I could do from that is I could create some belief statements around it's easy for me to change my perspective. I easily seek the gifts in all my experiences. It's easy for me to face the truth. I easily assimilate painful experiences. I don't know, that wording is a bit weird, so I probably wouldn't use that. I'd probably do something like it's easy for me to work through painful feelings or something like that. So that's kind of how you can take oracle cards and take that kind of guidance and turn that into creating belief statements to do belief work. Or if you work with the different chakras or energy centers, you could see which chakras are related to that particular theme and then do the heart center. I'd use heart center energy work, but if you have a different technique that works with the chakras, you could use that technique around that. Then another example of the kinds of fears and blocks and limiting beliefs and crap that comes up as I'm going about my professional day. I had made, about a week ago, a list of all the books I wanted to write, now that I'm not focusing on business mindset, and I probably won't be focusing on my walking books as much. So I realized that a lot of these books had to do with channeling, and I started feeling like I wasn't a good enough channeler to write all of these books, or to channel all of these books. And I realized it was making me feel not good enough. So I sat down and I did some beliefs. Oh, and I brought it up in the Master Gut group. And they also kind of pointed some things out to me. So I just wrote down a list of belief statements about, I have a natural ability to channel. Channeling is easy for me, and stuff related to that. So I take stuff that comes up to me in terms of stuff that I realize I'm afraid of or I'm feeling inadequate about. And you probably, if you've read any of my books or if you listen to this podcast, you probably know that the belief or the fear I'm not good enough has been kind of a recurring theme for me in my life. It's something that I've worked on a lot, and it's helped me improve and kind of move up that spiral staircase. But that's kind of a ceiling that I keep hitting as I grow. I'm not good enough comes back in so many different ways. So it's like I'm expanding the ceiling, but it's clearly one of those things that I've come here to work on in this lifetime, which is why it keeps recurring for me. Also, in the Druidry training that I'm doing, the Bardic Grade training, a lot of times there will be journal prompts in that, or things that come up for me when I'm reading the materials, and I will create some belief statements or do some work around that. So everything we have in our lives can be a source of work, whether it's mindset work or energy work. Books that you read, films that you watch, documentaries, I don't know, the media that you consume, blog posts that you read, videos that you watch, stuff that people say on social media. All that stuff can trigger topics that you can work on in terms of clearing your fears, blocks, and limiting beliefs. So there is just an endless amount of material. Once you train your brain to pick up on this stuff, you can just use everything you do and read and see and consume in life as a source of stuff to work on. Now, before I started this episode, I was really concerned about, I don't want it to sound like this is all I do in life. Like clearly, like one of the reasons I'm here is to help people on this journey of personal development and professional development and mindset and energy work and going into the woods of our own depths of our soul and self. So I think that's why I'm so focused on this. But if I go back through the pages of my journal, I'm not doing this stuff every day. I mean, yeah, there are some weeks where I've got a lot of stuff happening and triggering my crap, and I do the work every day. it's not common. I kind of go through waves in this. And so there'll be a week where I maybe work every day and then I won't do anything for a week or two. So it goes in waves based on what I need at any given time. And I think that's actually really healthy because once you do a lot of work, you need time to integrate it. So if you spend a week doing a lot of this work every single day, then you're probably going to need a few days or a week or two or more to integrate the stuff that you've learned. And I know from personal experience that when I do a ton of this work, it's exhausting and I absolutely need time to integrate it. So I've mentioned before the kind of little retreats that I've done with my friend Joanna Hennon, where I just go visit her at her house and we spend 3 or 4 or 5 days doing super intense work. In early September, I went to see her and we did, my God, it was like 4 or 5 days. I don't remember how long I was there. I think it was 5 days of like nonstop Psych K and channeling, just really intense work. And I was exhausted when I came back. I'd have to flip through my journal, but I'm pretty sure I went through a period of not doing any or very much mindset and energy work with myself after that because I needed to integrate the stuff that we had done, which was just absolutely intense and exhausting, but super fruitful. It was really, really good. I can't wait to go back and do more, but I needed time to integrate that. So how can you decide which are the best techniques for you to use? Now, I'm going to go through the list of different people that I work with and how they work. The best thing for you to do is to just make note of what resonates with you. Look into that. Look at the person's website. Look at how they work, how they feel. Is it something that you're drawn to trying? Does it feel like something you want to contact them about? I don't know. Go and look it up. So whenever I come across a different technique that maybe I've not heard of before, that someone's recommended, I just go and see how it feels. Like use your intuition, use your gut feeling to know what's right for you. And you don't have to commit to a massive package with someone if you've never worked with them or their technique before. Absolutely don't. Give them a try and see what it's like. See if you like it. And then if you're super jazzed about them, then do more. I often work on just single sessions with people, and this is really contradictory to how I like working with my clients because I like working with people at least in a block of 3 sessions. And I do like working with people for extended periods of time. But weirdly, when I'm going to see another professional, I really like just doing single sessions as I need. And I think that's because I'm doing so much work with myself that I just kind of want to top up here and there. However, you will learn from the stories that I'm going to be telling you as I go through my list of people, I have also really, really benefited from having extended relationships with other professionals. Here we go. So Cara Wilde, and I'm doing these people in terms of in order, alphabetical order, according to their first name. So this is not in terms of like how fantastic I think they are or how much they've helped me or how frequently I've worked with them. It's literally alphabetical order for first name. So Cara Wilde, who has been a guest on this podcast, who you've heard me mention before, she's a great friend and she does amazing work. So Cara is a channel. She is someone who teaches channeling. She has an online channeling course, but mostly she does one-to-one work with people. She is such a clear channel. She does verbally channeling. Her guides give me amazing advice and healing. So her guides will it's not like just a reading where they give you information. They will also heal things for you. So that's one of the things that I love about working with her is because you don't just get the information, you also get healing. And it's healing that's super deep and God, I really, really love it. One of the main things that I've worked on with Cara is weight loss. And I'm absolutely positive that a lot of the work that I've done with her has helped clear the stuff that was in the way of me losing weight. In the end, she was also the person who told me the practical thing that I needed to do, which was keto, which was one of the things that kind of jump-started my weight loss. I've got a blog post that talks about my weight loss journey, which I'll link to in the show notes. So you can learn more about what I'm doing, which is keto and intermittent fasting. So she was someone who helped me with the deep work, the energy work, the healing, the channeled guidance, and also practical stuff because she's got a wealth of information. So that's Cara Wilde, and I've got a link to her website. It's basically carawilde.com, but I've got links to her site and everyone else's websites in the show notes. So the next person is my friend Kathy Ballard. She's a channel and an energy worker. She's this amazing process called Flow that she's worked with for a few years. She's also a really good coach. Like, she's a friend and someone that I've worked with, but she is so good at asking the right questions to help you kind of get clarity on your situation. And she does the energy work and the channeling if you want guidance to work on whatever issue, but she's really, really good at helping me get clarity on stuff. So, like, even as a friend, just going out for a walk and having conversations, she asks the good questions. So I would also recommend her if you feel drawn to working in that way. She's got really beautiful, soft energy, and she also goes really direct to the point in helping you get to the core of what it is that you want to work at and help you see things in a different light. She's really helped totally shift my perspective on things in really important ways. So next is Claire Baker. I first met Claire probably 2014 at a Psych K workshop, and I did a lot of my training with her, and I've had many sessions with her. So Claire not only uses Psych K, but she uses a variety of other techniques. And what I love about how she works is that she seamlessly blends a variety of different modalities by using muscle testing to see which ones are the best ones to use. She also uses muscle testing to help find the specific beliefs and blocks that need to be worked on. She specializes in health and wellness issues, and that's what I've often gone to her for. But the way she works is that all kinds of blocks and limiting beliefs and crap comes up that needs to be worked on. So if you've got a health and wellness issue, check her out. Her website is happyhealthyempowered.com. She is one of the 3 people that I recommend in terms of Psych K facilitators. So when someone comes to me for Psych K and says, I want to work with you, but I also want to look at other options, or if I can't fit someone to my schedule, or if for whatever reason I need to refer people to another Psych K facilitator, Claire is one of the 3 people I recommend. So check her out. I love the way she works. I've had so many sessions with her, and she's absolutely fantastic. The next person is kind of similar in that I first met her at a Psych K workshop. Her name is Jo Trewartha. That's Trewartha. Her website is freeyourmindsolutions.com. And again, that's in the show notes. So she also works with a number of different modalities, including EAM, that's the energy alignment method. But again, I first met her through Psych K. So she uses a bunch of different techniques. She's really fun and easy to work with. And she's helped me uncover some really deep stuff, including clearing lots of crap from past lives. So has Claire, by the way. But the 2 of them I've had so many sessions with both of them, and they're really, really good. Jo works with all kinds of stuff. So not just health and wellness stuff, but just all kinds of stuff that needs to be shifted. And Jo is the second out of the 3 top people that I recommend in terms of Psych K facilitators. Absolutely love her. She's fantastic. Really, really good. And again, if you like working with someone who uses a number of different modalities, that's good. Check out her website. She does a bunch of stuff. So next is Joanna Hennon, whom you obviously know if you've ever listened to one of my episodes with her on this podcast. So she is an expert in manifestation, and she is a super clear channel. Wow. She gets super clear and practical information. And one time she was channeling, it was her guides or my guides or some guides. And I said to the guides, that's really clear and practical. And yes, it was her guides. And they said, she's trained us well. So this is not just floofy readings. It's practical stuff. Joanna also has this great community called the Soul Space, where she helps people on a group level. Check her out. Like I said, I've done a ton of deep work with her on a personal basis because as friends, we just get together and do this stuff because that's what we do. And she works at a really deep level. She's really lovely to work with, and I highly recommend her. So that's joannahennon.com. Lisa Wechtenheiser is next. Lisa, you've heard me talk about her before. She was my business coach for a long time. I have not worked with another business coach since then. If and when I feel the need to work with a business coach again, I'm going to work with her. She's a very clear channel and a super coach and mentor. She's the person who helped me develop a deep, unwavering trust in myself. That's such a huge, important part of my life now, and I have her to thank for that. So thanks to working with her, I learned to trust my intuition and develop my own channeling skills. She also works with Prince. Yes, Prince. That Prince, the musician Prince. She channels Prince. And he's a real butt kicker in terms of encouraging you to step up in much bigger ways. He's a super spirit guide. So whether you feel drawn to working with Prince, whether you want like practical business coaching and mentoring that also comes from a channel, Lisa is super awesome. God, I love her. Her website is lisamw.com. And again, as I'm talking about these people, like make note of who stands out to you, like who catches your eye, your ear, and who you think you might be drawn to working with, and then check them out. Their links are all in the show notes. The next person is someone I just discovered this year, thanks to my sister-in-law who recommended her to me. Her name is Merrin Lusher, and that's Merran Lusher, Lusher, and that's merrinlusher.com. She is a naturopath, medical nutritionist, medical herbalist, homeopath, and a certified body talk practitioner. And that is what I do with her. I've had body talk sessions via Skype. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% sure how this technique works, but it's super awesome and it works really well. So like other stuff that I've worked with and have recommended, body talk is something that you're working at on physical stuff, but emotional stuff and mental stuff comes up as well to be shifted. It's a really powerful technique. God, I love it. I've had, I think, 3 sessions with her so far, and it's been really, really good. I feel like she's really helped to shift things in me. Next is Sarah O'Dowd, whom I mentioned earlier I had the numerology reading with. She does sessions in person, but also on Skype. Numerology is something that I've only had a couple of times in my life, and both times it's been so spot on. So basically they assign numbers to the letters of your name, your date of birth, add up all that stuff to find this secret soul code to your life. So she talks a lot about what you're here to do, how you're here to do it, and what's coming forth for you. And she combines it with a card reading where she combines the numbers and the cards. And oh my God, the cards that I pulled were 100% aligned with the reading that she had given me. It's super in-depth. I think it was about 90 minutes or more. I don't do readings a lot because I often don't feel like I need guidance because I'm really tapped into my own intuition and stuff, thanks to Lisa. But this is something I've been wanting. I'd been wanting to have a session with her for a really long time, and I loved it. It was so useful in confirming some of the little details that I had kind of suspected about my path forward. She gave me so much more information about that I needed to know. So, Sarah. Next person is Sharon Locke, and Sharon is the third of the 3 Psych K facilitators that I recommend in the UK. She's one of just 2 Psych K instructors in the UK, and that's how I first met her, through Psych K. She is a fantastic Psych K facilitator, and she's helped me do such deep work. Her background is in business and later homeopathy. So she's really good at working on both business-related stuff and like health and wellness-related stuff. I mean, you can work on anything with her. She's really good at digging deep to find the core of the issue. Her website is sharonlocke.com. Like I said, she's a Psych K instructor, so she's quite busy and doesn't have a lot of time for one-to-one sessions. But if you feel drawn to working with her, do check her out. She is so good. Next, we've got Sanit Goomer, who is a very powerful psychic and shamanic healer. I have worked with her at very deep levels during her plant initiation ceremonies, which are full-day deep dives into working with particular plants. And next year, I'm doing her course where I'm going to learn how to do that and help guide other people through those experiences. I have done massively transformational one-to-one work with her as well, which has released crap that I'd been carrying my entire life that I didn't even know was affecting me. I've had major life shifts from working with her. She has super clear insights about the work that needs to be done, and she facilitates massive, deep transformation with beautifully soft yet powerful energy. I love working with her, and I'm so excited to be doing more stuff with her this year. So her website is divinesouls.co.uk. If you feel drawn to doing shamanic work, or if you need a reading, she also does readings. She's fantastic. Finally, Vicky Young. I have talked about her so many times in the podcast, in blog posts. I have been getting her weekly Akashic Records emails for years, and I've also had one-to-one sessions with her. Each week, she accesses your personal Akashic Records. This is not a generic email that goes out to everyone. She gets a very clear message for you from your records keepers about what you need to focus on for the week. I print these out, I put them in my journal, and I use them as the basis for my mindset work that week. They often help me to focus on stuff that I never would have thought of. These guys are so good and they know what I'm doing. It's crazy. Like, they make references to stuff that I've been doing in my life that Vicky would not have known. She charges just $25 for 4 weekly messages, so that's an easy yes. So if you've ever heard me talk about Vicky's Akashic Record emails, or if you just feel like you need some guidance, but you don't want like a full session with someone, sign up for these. Her website is medicinedreamhealing.com. She also does Reiki and shamanic healing, but I really, 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 really recommend that you check her out because it's great stuff in bite-sized format. So it's always really easy to work with, easy to use, but not overwhelming. So if you just want like a little bit of guidance, this is good stuff. Really, really good stuff. I found it really, really useful. So that is my dream team of, I think that was 10 people, and different ways that I work with other people. So how do I know when I want to work on something myself and when do I hire someone? It's kind of a gut feeling thing again. So, I might just feel like with Maren Lusher, I've had 3 sessions with her and I just get a gut feeling that I need to work with her on something. With Sanit, same thing. I've, felt like I needed to do some work, so I've reached out to see if she has time in her calendar. With Vicky Young on the Akashic Records emails, when I feel I need something, I sign up to, either 1 month, 2, 3, 4, etc. They just keep on coming in every week, and it's fantastic. I really look forward to them. So it's a gut feeling thing, and it's also like with health and wellness stuff, I can work on that stuff myself using Psych-K, and I have, and I do, but oftentimes I like to work with someone else on health and wellness stuff because I find that I just want a different perspective. And I also work with other people using different techniques because sometimes I just feel like approaching something from a different angle. I also find that this stuff is very much, it's like part of my self-care. Like I really feel like I'm taking care of myself when I hire someone to help me with this stuff. So again, I've mentioned, I think 10 people here, but I don't have sessions with these people every week or even every month. It's on an as-needed basis when I need to supplement my own work that I'm doing with myself, or when I feel like I need extra help with something. So that's how I decide to work on something. It's a gut feeling. It's very much an intuitive thing. So how often do we need to do this inner work? Again, it's an intuitive thing. However often you feel like you need to do it. But once you train your mind to pay attention to the stuff, you might find yourself doing this work with yourself more often or hiring other people to help you because you have become aware of the stuff that needs to be worked on. So again, I'm really concerned that I don't want you to think that you need to spend like every day, every week, every month of every year doing this inner work. It's absolutely not something that I'm doing all the time. But it is something that I do on a regular basis because personal development is really important to me, because I have big goals in life, because I have a lot of stuff I want to do, and pretty much all that stuff takes me outside my comfort zone. I'm not the kind of person who can easily feel the fear and do it anyway. I'm not the kind of person that likes to hustle, to push through. I like to make it easy. And the way that I found to make it easy to take the actions that are outside of my comfort zone is by doing the mindset work. So I hope that you found this interesting and useful. I hope that you can apply this stuff to yourself, to your own inner work. I welcome any questions you may have. So if you have any questions about any of the techniques that I mentioned today, or any of the people that I mentioned, please let me know. Drop me a line, holly@hollywharton.com, or find me online and get in touch. And finally, I would love for you to join me on Patreon. If you head over to patreon.com/Holly Worton, you can join me there. Membership starts at just $1 a month, and you get exclusive access to content I don't share anywhere else, including a monthly Q&A. I also do done-for-you mindset work and heart-centered energy work, depending at the tier that you join at. So I would love to see you there. The group is growing, and that's all for now. Thank you so much for listening, and remember to visit hollywharton.com/276 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for listening to Into the Woods with Holly Worton. You can find more information about today's episode, including links for topics that were discussed, at hollywharton.com. That's HOLLYWORTON.com. If you'd like to connect with other listeners and get support on your journey, I would love for you to join my private community on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Holly Worton. That's patreon.com/Holly Worton. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next week.